Everyone. Today we're going to talk about resume skill building. So we're happy to be live streaming today, and we're at Apostle Clavon Leonard's house, and we're doing this. We're going to have some activities and some good information. The copy of the PowerPoint slides are also going to be available to you on the website. They should be there right now. So if you can't see the screen exactly, you should be able to access the PowerPoint slides and go through them on your own, and as I go through them myself today. Okay, we ready to get started?
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh yeah!
You know it.
Alright, so this is going to be the little outline of what we're going to work on today. These are our training topics. We have the resume order, the order of your resume, the sequence of how it should look. We have the objectives, writing an objective, how to write a strong one, what's the point of an objective, is it really necessary or not. Task statements. Task statements are the little bullet points that you have under each position that you've held. You have bullets explaining what you did on those jobs, so those are called task statements. And we're going to do a little activity surrounding them, and we're going to talk about how to write them well and show some examples of some good ones and some poorly written ones. Transferable skills, I'm going to get into that a little bit. That's a pretty heavy topic, so I'm just going to do it very generally today. And I'll also have some more information up on the website probably later today or tomorrow about some transferable skills and different information that you can look on about that as well. And then we have some resume red flags, what not to do on your resume, which is very important. And then a little bit of a closing. In this presentation, I did add a lot of content on some of the slides, and I know that when we go to school and everything, when we do give presentations, we don't want to put paragraphs of information in a PowerPoint slide, so that's very just advising you guys on that for the future. But for this, since it is going to be a take-home thing and on the website, I did want to provide you guys with a little bit more meaty content so that you could have it for examples later and something that you could go back to. So there are a little bit in paragraph form, which I wouldn't normally do, nor do I recommend it, but for this, I think that it's fitting. So let's get started. Okay, so resume order. So you want to start with your name and contact information. Your name and contact information is the most important part of your resume because that is what the reader is going to see first. And you want to make sure it's clear, and you want to make sure it's bold and standing out, not too crazy, but you want to make sure it catches someone's eye. Name bold and large font, make your name stand out like I said. At the top of the page, it's usually best to put it in the header in the Word document or just at the top if you're using a PDF as well. Next area you would like to put is work experience. I know some of us coming right out of school, we may not have work experience right away, so in that instance, it's okay to put your education next. But if you have a big amount or a good amount, at least maybe 3 years of work experience, or even 2, work experience is what the hiring managers and recruiters want to see. So even if you've done a little bit of work experience, it hasn't been 9 to 5 professional, that's okay. You still want to put the work experience at the top. Education actually goes at the bottom these days. And then of course you have education, and then skills, volunteer work you want to put at the very, very bottom. Skills are interchangeable. You can sometimes put skills at the top, especially if you have a really targeted job that very much skills are important to, like an IT person or a secretary where you have certain managerial or secretarial skills like leadership and stuff like that you're very strong in, and you know the position needs these certain set of skills like for a database or something along those lines, then you'd want to put it more towards the top, but you'd also want to put that in your work experience area as well, saying that you've done work on this database and you have this specialized skill set. You want to make sure that's in your work experience under your task statements. So you want to make sure that it's kind of level, but work experience definitely towards the top. So the objectives. Objectives are not always necessary. As you get more and more senior in your career, you tend to not see objectives. Objectives are important for junior to mid to senior, mid-career. As you get more senior, you see an executive summary, which I talked a little bit about towards the bottom of this slide. An executive summary is just a paragraph of your experience and what you've done, and pretty much a summary of your career. So with your objective, it's important to customize it based on the job description. And that's going to be my big key thing that I am going to reiterate again and again today. Whenever you apply to a job, you want to change your resume over and over so that it fits the job you are applying to. You want to change the wording. You definitely want to change the objective. I read an article on LinkedIn this past week, and it said your resume is like a key to unlocking a door. And the job you're applying to is a locked door, and your resume is the key to open that door. So you want to make your resume and change it and mold it so that it fits the key to that locked door. And make your objective brief but strong, maybe like a 2-line maximum. And it's not, it doesn't have to be a perfect sentence. You don't usually need appropriate punctuation like a period at the end, just commas and semicolons, because it's really just a strong statement. Okay, so I have a little activity. Sorry for those of you at home. If I could have you in there, you would be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out a small mini job description to everybody. Everybody has one? So this is just a quick job description for an advertisement that I found online. I think I found it on Career Builder. And it's for a dental/surgical assistant. So there's some job duties listed here. And I'd like you guys who are with me in the audience to maybe think of an objective, if we could even go back to the slide before as like a hint. Let's think of an objective that we might want to write for this job. You can jot it down on your paper and then maybe talk about it out loud. And I'm going to do one too. I'm going to get a pen really quickly and I'm going to actually write one too. Okay, does anybody have any objectives for this job?
Nick's looks pretty good.
What does Nick say? Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I'll say this. All right, what I said was I aim to aid the world in the eradication of gum disease, gingivitis, and cavities with education and experience, which I hope to gain in this job.
I think that's very artistic view of what a dental and surgical assistant might do. Anybody else? Does anybody else have ideas? We want to make it strong but brief, and we want to take the bullet points in this example and use some of the words. So like, what is the dental assistant's job? To order and clean supplies, to make sure the equipment and instruments are there. Are you going to put yours? Okay. So we want to make sure that we use that. So maybe seeking a position as a dental/surgical assistant to assist doctors in various medical procedures and to ensure the cleanliness and quality of the instruments. You want to make sure that you take the words from there and you put it in your objective. And you can play around with wording and you don't want to make it too many big words, but you do want to make it strong and a little bit catchy. And Nick, of course, yours looks good.
So we're taking the words from what the job like requirements are?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're using that as our tool. That's our little key to unlocking the job. It's kind of like being strategic. I think it's actually the kitchen light, you guys. It's that one. It's that thing. We're just working on the lighting.
Is this something like this actually what I say, to work in a dental office where I can utilize my skills in assisting in surgical and non-surgical procedures and utilize administration skills?
That's perfect. Yep, that's perfect. And I was thinking, because it's kind of be like office management, like the management of the tools and the ordering supplies. So it seems like you're kind of a secretary and you're like a dental assistant. So you have the medical stuff with the office kind of management. So yeah, the administration. So you mixing the two, that's perfect. That's a beautiful one. You want to read that a little louder, Lewis? You want to get it on him? You wrote a perfect one.
To work in a dental office where I can utilize my skills in assisting in surgical and non-surgical procedures and utilize my administration skills.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay.
For those who are being a live stream, you want them to contact, you want me to text me and I can ask the question.
Yeah, if they want to like chime in, didn't you say you had a comment feed on the website? Oh, okay.
On the Ustream.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, you can text me at 704-277-4932. I know many of you have texted me, tell me that you're on board. If you could just text me, I can ask the question for you and she can answer.
Okay, great. All right, next slide. All right, so work experience. This is where our meat comes into our resume. This is the part that hiring managers and recruiters, this is what they want to see. Yes, they want you to have education, and they're even look at you more highly if you have volunteer experience, extracurricular activities, but the work experience is really the meat and potatoes of the resume. This is what they're looking at, because if you can do it somewhere else and you can show that you've done it somewhere else, they want you to do it for them too. So I'll just read this slide to you. Under each title you've listed on your resume, we often have a list of bullets that describes what we've done. This information is called tasks. Tasks are what we do at work each day. They're each of our daily job duties. In the next few slides, I'm going to review how to write strong task statements and provide examples of them before and after editing. So again, the task statements, when I say that word, I mean it's the little bullets that are under each of your work experiences. So you are a secretary at company AB, and you've done answering phones, filing, organizing. Those things, those bullets are your task statements. So writing a task statement. The key to writing a task statement is you always want to start it with a verb. A verb, by definition, is the part of speech that expresses existence, action, or occurrence. And I gave some examples of verbs. You delegated, you managed, you restructured, you utilized, you tracked, you organized. So again, if I was the secretary at company AB, I organized the files of, the confidential employee files. I tracked the metrics, the numbers of phone calls that came in each and every day. So put a verb in the front of your task statement, because it influences or it promotes an action, something that you've done. Any questions, George? You have a question? Okay. The other question. Also, the next important part of task statements. So we're going to start them all with verbs, and of course we need to be careful. Don't put you organize this and then you organize that and then you organize this. Again, you want to mix it up a little bit. You can have the same verbs repeatedly, but make them spread out. If you have 10 bullets, make organize 2 or 3 of them and make them spread out. So that can get a little tricky with what I'm going to say next. Order your task statements, your bullets, by importance. So you want to rank them by put it, like say you handled confidential information. You want to put that before you've answered phones. Because if another employer sees, oh, you've handled confidential information, oh, well, if they can handle it for that company, I'm going to think that they're secure enough to handle it for mine. Say you've managed 5 team members in a sales role at, ShopRite or some company. You want to make sure that that is towards the top, because that shows leadership skills, that shows authority, that shows that you manage staff. That's a key. So make sure that that is towards the top. Do you have a question? Okay, sorry. So like say, okay, so my examples I have here is that you've handled confidential information, or you've developed weekly budget reports for a senior vice president. Those task statements need to be towards the top of that work experience area. And then as you go to the bottom, it could get, oh, I organize the files and I manage this. It could get less severe, less serious, I guess you could say. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And you want to do that because at the end of the day, recruiters and hiring managers see a multitude of resumes. They see dozens and dozens and dozens of resumes all day long. They're not going to read your resume from start to finish. That's just a fact. I think they did a study of eye movement and how much they look at the resume. They only look at the first third, 2/3 of your resume, and they look at it for, I think, a total of 8 seconds or 5 seconds. It's really a snap. So you have to make sure you have these strong verbs and keywords, and make sure you order things as importance. And responsibility level, I should really say level of responsibility as opposed to importance level. And then also another pet peeve of mine is make sure that your task statements are in the correct tense. If it is a past job, it should be past tense. I handled confidential records, not I handle them. If it's a past job, that area, those task statements under that work experience should be in past tense. If it's a job you're currently in, you're presently working, then it should be in present tense. I handle irate customers and phone calls. Make sure it's present tense. Does that make sense? Past tense for past job, present tense for present job. The next part of task statements. Highlight the work you've already done. You may have simply signed for packages, but on your resume, let it show that you provided a service. Because after all, a company wants you to work for them. So show that you're capable of being responsible and you're able to provide a service for their organization, and that you want to provide a service. That's an interview stage, that you want to be there to provide a service. So you don't say in your task statements, I signed for deliveries, because that's very simplistic, and that may be all that you very well did, sat at a front desk and signed for packages, and that's fine, but you don't want to word it like that. You want to spice it up a little bit. You want to be strategic and make yourself sound better and put yourself in the spotlight, and again, show responsibility and show your level of service that you've done. So instead of saying I signed for packages, say I managed the receipt of confidential deliveries. That's not a lie, it's just saying it a little differently. All deliveries and all mail is confidential, so you handled confidential deliveries. And if you're the only person signing for those packages from FedEx or UPS or whatever, you manage that duty. So that's your duty, that's your job at that place. So I didn't sign for I did just sign for packages, but on my resume I want to put I managed the receipt of confidential deliveries. Do you see how that spices it up a little bit and adds to it? It's like cooking. You don't want it to just throw chicken on the grill. You want to put spices in there and seasonings, and you want to spice it up and make it more flavorful and appetizing for the reader, right? Okay. Also, another key ingredient to the recipe, if we're talking about cooking, to task statements, is show the impact of your work. So show that you provided a service to the organization, show the level of responsibility, but also show the impact of your work. Use quantifiable data. So quantifiable data is anything that you can put a numeric value to. So if you've managed 10 people on a team, I want to see that number 10. Because to the reader, to the hiring manager, I know that when we're all in college and school, when we write papers, the teachers don't want us to put 1, 0. They want us to write out the number 10, T-E-N. But on a resume, it's the opposite. We need to see the numbers, the numerical, the quantifiable data. Because if you've been managing 10 staff, that will pop out, the 1 and the 0, and that will catch our eye. And again, they don't look at it for that long, so we want to be grabbing people's attention. If you have, I put some examples here, manage 3 store associates, and I put the number 3. Increase sales by 18%. Percentages like that really stand out on a resume, and recruiters and hiring managers look for that, and that's things that they keep as key and write notes about. Manage a roster of 70 at-risk youth. I think I got that from Lonnie's resume, actually. He had it written a different way, but I told him, put the number in there. If you're doing the case studies or the cases of different kids and you're going through, even if it's 70 at-risk youth throughout the whole year that you work at this, you still manage 70 files in your career at that place. It doesn't have to be in 1 day or 1 month. It could be a whole year. That number is still going to stick out. Does that make sense? Any questions? Okay, so again, highlight work achievements on the top. So this goes back to ordering your task statements by level of responsibility, level of service, level of importance. So I have an example here. It says, I successfully managed sales quota of opening at least 33 new accounts each month for 6 consecutive months. Now that sounds a little confusing, but if we read it, we see what I've done in a 6-month period and then how much I've done. I've added 33 new accounts. So if I'm a business account person, sales, I'm bringing on people, and I added this information, I put how much quantify, how much did I actually accomplish in this amount of time. So it's like a SMART objective. Does everybody know SMART objective? No? No. Measurable, now I'm going to forget them, but it's make sure your goals and your objectives are measurable and they're under time restraints. I can do a little information on SMART objectives. They're supposed to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So this is kind of going into, it's bound by time, what did I accomplish in a certain amount of time, and then, you know, what did I do? What are you measuring in this time frame? So put the numbers in there. Yeah?
When you say highlight, you mean specifically by putting the numbers in? That's what you're trying to say?
Yeah. But you don't always have to do that. If it doesn't, I mean, I don't have very many numbers in mine. I'm still early in my career, but I do have it in a couple spots. I maybe have it maybe 3 times, and my resume is pretty thick, and there's a lot of bullets on there. So if it fits, then use it. But if it doesn't fit, definitely don't make something up. If you don't have any numbers or any quantifiable data to put in there, just make sure you rank your bullets by level of responsibility. What's the most important? What's going to make you look like a really stellar person from the other candidate? Does that make sense? And then don't double barrel. If you're describing more than one task in a single bullet, it's too much. Describe one task at a time to make things clear and more thorough. I see a lot of bullets when I look at resumes and I edit them. I see a lot that say I took phone calls and I organized the files. You took phone calls and you organized files. Those are 2 separate things, done at 2 separate times in 2 very separate ways. So you want to talk about managing your phone calls and customer service and what you've done on those calls. And then you want to talk about what you did with the file system in another bullet. And I know people say make your resume 1 page. That's not true. I see people all the time who are very senior people. Obviously, the more senior and experienced you get, you're going to have a long resume. I work with doctors actually, and they all have, they're writers. So they write medical and scientific information, and they have a lot of published work. And they list sometimes their works cited or references page of things that they wrote are 2 pages itself. So if you have good, solid content and you have years of experience, obviously if you're new in your career, yes, 1 page is what it should be. But if you're more experienced, 4 or 5 years out, a 2-page resume is perfectly fine. I'd rather see what you've done in maybe 5 bullets or 7 bullets so that I can understand the work you've done so I can better see if you're a fit for this job you're applying to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of a 2-page resume. Okay. Here's a couple examples that I took again from actual real life resumes. So I hope nobody's out there seeing that I took it from there. So someone put on their resume that under their task statement, just their bullet, that they diffuse escalated calls, which is good, but remember, like I said, you have to spice it up, make it more meaty, add some flavor to it.
What would you say to it to add more flavor to that stage?
Oh, I put it right here.
Oh.
So I put, instead of diffuse escalated calls, I put manage a variety of customer complaints and proactively diffuse escalated calls. Does that make sense? Okay.
That's hot.
So just make it a little bit more easy.
That's hot. He said that's hot.
Like, if you don't feel it, I can come up with them as I go. Send you wherever you want. I'm just, I don't know. I like to create this stuff off the top of my head. And the other one says train new personnel. So even if you were a camp counselor, let's say, and new camp counselors came in, you were a camp counselor last year, all winter long you didn't work, now you're back at camp and you with the kids again. They have a new employee, a new camp counselor who didn't work last year. They put the new person with you. You're training them. They're working side by side with you. They see what you're doing. It's not like you don't have to be running training programs in order to train a person. You're still mentoring them, showing them the ropes, showing them the rules and the paperwork and what they can and cannot do. So you train the new staff person. Does that make sense? Just spice it up. So instead of saying train new personnel, you could say I evaluated, trained, and mentored 6 new hires. Only put 6 if it's true. No lies, just fluff. Evaluated, trained, and mentored over 6 new hires at various levels across the organization. So that would be a little bit more senior than a camp counselor role, but still, if you were a camp counselor and you took on somebody new, you could still use something similar to say that you train new hires and new people. Does that make sense? Any questions? Go ahead.
So you're using the number. Now, I just want to make it clear to those who are out there. You, like you said, you're reiterating, like, she's not saying just at one time. She's saying over the course of the job, the number of people you did. So say like if you had 30 kids, you had 6 one day and you had 8 kids the next day, you had 12 different kids that day, or you can rotate. You want to do the combination of all those kids together and use that as your number, because that's what she's saying, the numbers stick out.
Yeah, you don't have to do it that way, but you can. Like in the other example I get, like I put 33 new, what did I say, 33 new accounts in 6-month period. You can make it time bound. You can put it within a certain semester or certain something. But if you
I was just trying to read them like the number, like you said, that'll make it really count. Yeah, because they'll just look and say, oh, well, I just did 6, so I don't want to,
Yeah, no, 6 is good. I'd rather see that you train 6 new people than I train people. What does that mean? That doesn't say much to me. That's very flat, and it's not meaty enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. We're good for this? Okay. All right, so I have another activity. Is to take the same job description that I gave you guys earlier, the dental assistant job, and I want you to write 1 task statement for that job. And remember to use the verbs. I want to hear from somebody new this time. So, Apostle and Nick.
Nick has such great ideas.
So let's just see one of them say it.
Such artistic ideas.
So, So pretend that you have a background in this field, right? And then you're going to write the task statement from this job description. Using a verb first. You ready? Okay, Don, you go ahead. You said yes first. What's yours?
What I have is I put engage patients daily with friendly and welcoming personality.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yay.
I would just say that that's a little challenging because how do you, if I was interviewing you on a job, how could I don't know, I'd be a little thrown off because what you're saying is good and we need that in the office, but how can I really gauge and measure a personality trait? You know, I need more action of work experience. I feel like that's something you can say and show when you go on an interview about your sparkling personality, and that's good because I want to see that. But you definitely use the verb, so that was correct, and you definitely used what they need, but I would make it more about the job itself, more actual work. I think personality and stuff, when that gets in there, it could be kind of biased.
Okay.
So, as a hirer, you don't want to hire someone based on their personality. You're not supposed to anyway. You're supposed to hire someone if they can do the job.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. One of you girls want to know?
Let's see. I'll read one of Nick's. Alright, so he wrote, gather specific surgical tools for pre-optional post-operation.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
So you're going to add any more meat to it?
Read it again.
Make it spicy.
Gather specific surgical tools for pre-operational post. Oh, pre-operational sterilized.
That sounds confusing already.
This is gather specific surgical tools pre-operational. The second one is sterilized surgical tools post-operational.
So is it two separate bullets?
Yeah.
Okay. I would add something like, what's the goal? To ensure something, surgical satisfaction, or to ensure, to support something. But I think they're really good. They're specific, they're about the job, they're off of the job description, and they start with verbs.
So we end it in something that's, what did you say, you said to ensure something?
Yeah, to like make it rounded out more, because you said his are good, but if you want it to be more meaty, you can end it with a goal, to ensure such and such, to ensure surgical satisfaction, or meeting the needs of the doctors. What?
I put maintaining order and cleanliness of equipment and instruments over the past 6 months.
Yeah, that's good.
Good?
Yep, that's good.
Thank you. I thought of myself.
You could even put a numerical value in there and even and say like about how many surgeries your doctor's office has done in a week, or approximately, 8 surgeries per week throughout a 6-month period or something like that. But if you have also the dates of when you stopped that job, like say you worked that job for 2 years, like 2010 and 2012, you don't have to put in a 6-month period, because the reader will assume that you did that all throughout your 2 years there.
Okay.
That makes sense?
So do you only use the numbers
when it's more like, I did that for an example in like a business sales, like if I was a salesman and I sold, 500 crates of oranges in 6 months, and I won an award because I sold the most in that 6-month time, then you would highlight that, because that means you're meeting a goal, you're meeting a quota.
Okay.
So if you just have a regular old job like I do, I wouldn't put that. I work in HR. I wouldn't say I read 5 resumes a day in 6 months. I would just say I read how many resumes a day and I edit them like that, because they know that that's my full-time job, and I do that all the time.
Okay.
For my years there. Does that make sense? The difference?
Okay. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's good? Okay. So we're going to continue on. Good job. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the participation. Okay, so here's where I get into transferable skills. Remember I told you that this is a big topic, and this is it can be a little bit more tricky, so I'm just giving a very general sum of it. Transferable skills are talents that you acquire that can help an employer, but that are not immediately relevant to the job you currently seek. That may sound a little confusing. I got that quote right off of careerbuilder.com. Make note that CareerBuilder and Monster and those sites, they actually give you like job seeker information. So a lot of the information is out there. CareerBuilder and Monster make money off of people posting jobs, employers posting jobs. They want us, job seekers, to go to their website. So they want to help us, job seekers, as much as they possibly can. So they have resume information right on their website. So if you want to check out CareerBuilder, I definitely saw some good information on there. But a transferable skill is especially used if you're changing careers, or if you've worked at one type of place and you want to work at a different type of place, and they don't necessarily have anything in common. The easiest example I can use is what I went through myself. I went from being a social worker to being in human resources. So I looked for what those 2 different fields have in common. And the biggest thing I saw that they have in common is confidentiality. Because as a social worker, you deal with mental health issues, you deal with DIFUS cases, you deal with all kinds of confidential information. And the same thing in human resources, you deal with people's social security numbers, their insurance information, if someone needs to be referred somewhere for mental health, salary information, all that kind of stuff. So when I transferred or changed careers, I looked at what those 2 different fields had in common. And I played my resume up to the best of my ability to say, even though I have no human resources experience, I have an experience as a social worker, I can show you that I have done X, Y, and Z that relate to human resources. I have done confidentiality. I have done interviews with people and worked with them and counseled and mentored them. And so I transferred those skills from social work to human resources. This takes a little bit of practice, and it takes a little bit of, knack and really diving in, and it takes some time to really transfer your skills and know how to strategically put the information on your resume so that it relates one career to the next. And if anybody needs some more assistance on that, I can definitely help you further and put the answers to the questions out there. But remember that we all do things in jobs that relate to another, like computers, Microsoft Office, things like that. You may do that at one company where you're in sales, but then you want to go and be in design, which I think is my next example. You can relate those two by computer skills and different things that you use, like Microsoft Office and different things. There's ways to transfer your skills. I put here like balanced budget. I don't work in finance, but I work in HR and I balance a budget. I work on my department's budget. So if I ever wanted to transfer to finance or get a more senior job in human resources, I could say that I know Excel, I know the formulas in Excel, and I know how to balance a budget. And I've worked closely with the finance department. So there's things like that that don't necessarily relate, but you can twist them so that they do relate, and there is commonality there when you really look. Things like support clients. Again, say I was in social work and I was going to customer service. You're supporting clients in very different ways, but you're still transferring skills and there's a relationship there. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. And I gave some other examples. Reporting data. You can do that in any job. Manage the calendar. You can do that in any job. Training new staff. Again, if you're mentoring somebody new is coming on, they're sitting over your shoulder in your cubicle and you're showing them what they do here today. That's a form of training. My next example, I got off of, I got off actually the government website, careeronestop.org, which is also another good website. I think they show you that when you go to school, right? careeronestop.org. So this is a transferable skills activity we could all do together. It doesn't require the job description that I gave you guys. So let me read this. Let's say that you're a web designer with exceptional organizational skills. These skills would be important for organizing and retrieving web files. You can use these skills not only in web design jobs, but other jobs as well. Let's say you want to become a project manager. In that case, your great organizational skills would be a major selling point in project management. Does anybody know any other transferable skills between a web designer and a project manager? You don't really have to know much about either job, but just think about what kind of things could relate to both. Say you're managing projects in business, it could be any kind of a project, and then you're a web designer. You make websites for people. But I want someone else. I want George and I want one of you guys. Or Lewis. Go ahead, George.
They kind of put me on the spot. I guess like they both have to be sensitive with time, people's time, like
Okay.
and time management.
Okay, so time management. You could also say even project management, right? They're managing projects. A web designer makes websites for people, so they have all different people, right? All different websites. You could be doing 5 websites at a time for your clients. Project manager, same thing. You could be working on different projects. Does that make sense? Anybody else?
You might want to talk about your multitasking abilities.
Yeah, multitasking. Being able to like push and pull things, put it out there, somebody gets it back, you change it, edit it, being able to do different ends of the project at once. So even whether you're changing careers or getting a new major, look for the transferable skills. Look for things that have the commonality and relate to one another to put on your resume.
Could you say anything to the effect of with that, how somebody gives you information, how you're able to receive, almost like kind of customer service, like you're almost like kind of hearing, because they're giving you a specific thing. And sometimes they may not give it to you specifically, but your job is to interpret what they do.
Sure.
Like how do you...
Yeah, so you could say, I don't want to say creative insight, I mean that's what it would be, especially for a web design job, but for project manager, you could say that like, I know we do it at my job too, it's something like a client liaison where you can kind of take the ideas that, because sometimes, I'm sure the listener knows, like the clients have these big, bright ideas and they may not always be realistic or they may not always be fitting in the time, you know, for the budget. So the same thing with a client, they may say, oh, for project management, I want this fabulous, you know, addition built on my house, but you're like, okay, wait, you have a $5,000 budget. So you have to give them what you can for what, you know, they have for the time frame and the money. So yeah, you could be like, I don't know what the wording would be, but it's definitely for sure what you would put on there. Any other questions? Any questions from the crowd?
No, they can ask them.
Okay. Okay, so we're getting to the end. Some resume red flags. Typos, number one, no typos. Because when I look at a resume at work, both of my bosses are in their mid-40s. They both started in HR in their early 20s, so they have 20-some years of recruiting experience and HR experience. When they see a typo on a resume, the first thing they say is, this person does not have attention to detail. That is the first thing they say time and time again, and the resume goes to the side. It could be the most silliest thing you never even noticed. But have someone else read over your resume, have someone who will care and really spend the time in it. And you know, because sometimes we give it to our friends and they don't even know what they're looking at, or they can't be bothered, and that's just the truth. So give it to somebody who will take the time and really look at it and make sure that there's no typos and that the tenses are correct, that you have your verbs in front of your task statement. Give them the job description if you can, to make sure that they can relate back to the job description, that you're doing it the right way. Make sure the time is there. Lies and inconsistencies. You do not want to lie for moral reasons and for professional reasons. You lie on a resume and then you get the job, then what do? You don't know how to do the work. You're lost. You're drowning in the work. You do not want to lie. You do sometimes want to fluff it up. You want to twist things and be strategic with your wording so that it is more capturing what you've done, but pushing it towards the job that you want. Because if we didn't do that, if we didn't maneuver things and add that flavor to it with our words, how would we ever get promoted? Like, usually when we go from one job to the next, we want the next job to be a step up. So we need to show that we had more responsibility and more of a leadership role in our writing so that we can get the next step up. And not just go a straight line, you know, horizontal throughout our career. Gaps in work history. This is something that's a concern as well. Gaps in work history, or if you've only worked a place 8 months, 10 months, a year and a half, recruiters and hiring managers are going to want to know why. If you've skipped around from job to job, that is a concern. That is definitely a concern. If anybody has trouble with that, please talk to me about it. Email or text Apostle. I want to counsel you on it. I want to know why you've skipped around so that I can help you strategically place yourself and write your resume well, and also know what you're going to say and how you're going to talk about it. I understand sometimes it's family, personal problems, or maybe you just hated your boss and stuff like that, but that is a big red flag that people who are hiring do not want to see. They want people to stay for the long term at their company, because every time a company hires us, it costs the company money. It costs them in training, it costs them in insurance, it costs them in vacation time and sick time, so we cost the companies money. Even though we produce for them and make them money, we also cost them money. So they don't want us jumping around every year a new person in a certain position. So that is a concern. Colors and photos. Some people, I see this a lot internationally, which is okay because I work for a global company, so people in other countries, usually in Asia and stuff, they do have photos on their resume. That's not seen highly up here in the US. So keep it name, phone number, email, and address. That's fine. No colors, no funky colors or fancy fonts. Just keep it nice and classic, black and white, and good. I did put for the design and creative jobs, like Lewis's job and Christina's job, it would be very different. So if you're a photographer, you work in web design or graphic design, you do want colors on your resumes. I actually have three graphic design friends, and we have a whole studio department at my work. So I'm very good at looking at creative resumes as well. You want to have your portfolio information on there. Sometimes you want to send samples of your work when you apply. So for creative and design jobs, it is a little bit different. But for the rest of us, we do want to stick to 1-inch margins, headings, and white paper, black ink kind of thing. Inappropriate emails. I put sexybaby411 at Yahoo. You don't want to have that. Or football copy for you. Keep it basic. First name or first initial, last name. Keep it basic. You don't want any funky numbers. you know, 609, hottie, no.
Have you actually seen those emails?
No, I make those up. I haven't seen some.
I'm sure someone has.
Yeah. I've seen it. My one friend, her name was Ashley too. Hers was Ash Monkey. And the O and the monkey was a 0. And that was the first thing I told her. She never changed her resume. I don't know where she is now. But she never changed her email. She refused. And I just said, that's confusing. If I'm a hiring manager, I don't want to sit there and figure out, oh, is this O and a monkey, a 0, or an O, or what is this? Like, you're Ash Monkey, I get you're goofy and cute. But on your resume, it's not the time to be goofy and cute. We can all be that way, but not at work. You know, at least get the job, then be goofy and cute.
Yeah, first.
Yeah, get it first.
Good job.
And then also, I don't think I said this before, but I see sometimes, you know, cuts of resumes like this, the hyperlink. When we put our email on a resume, it automatically defaults to the hyperlink. Just deactivate the hyperlink. We don't need your resume, your email address to be underlined and in blue. We know it's an email. We'll copy and paste it. Just deactivate the hyperlink. Just a little pet peeve that I see sometimes. It's not that common, and the more senior you get, I don't see it, but for very junior people, I always see the active hyperlink on the resume. So just remember to take that off. Inappropriate voicemail boxes and ringback tones. It's cool, it's fun, I had one too, but when you get to a certain age, it's time to let it go. It's time to let it go. I don't want to hear Britney Spears when I call you for an interview. I might just hang up and say, save it. You know, keep it simple, keep it professional, no songs, no cheesy voicemails, you know, just keep it simple. If you don't like your voice, just have the voicemail box set it up itself. So keep it professional. And lastly, Google. I don't know if you guys know, but when you apply for jobs, you're online, your information goes into a database like Taleo, and there's a couple other ones, and you have to make a login and a screen name, and it's a very tedious process. Searching for a job is a job in itself, and it is not for the lazy or the weak and weird. It is tough, and you have to be strategic, and you have to be on top of it and consistent and keep it going. It's a job in itself. But when you apply online, all those websites, and you have all your logins, I remember I used to keep a notebook of the website, the company name, the login, and my password. I just had a notebook with all of them written down so that I can go in and check and edit my resume, you know, months later to see if I've gotten any farther in the process. But those sites, which is what I manage at work actually, those databases that we apply online to, they Google your name automatically and give us, the recruiter and the hiring manager, the results. So your name is Google. So be careful what pictures you have out there. If you have an Instagram, a Pinterest, a Facebook, whatever you have, it will be up. It will show. You have to set everything to private. You heard me, right? So that's a big deal for people to know. Make sure it only says good things about you out there on Google. Google yourself, Google your own name, and Google yourself regularly, every couple months. I've known people to be fired for what they said on Facebook. I've read articles about it. I've seen it on the news. People saying, I hate my job, my boss, you know, it's terrible, cursing and saying these things on Facebook about work. You can be fired. Companies are now starting a social media policy. It is in most employee handbooks now as we speak at major organizations. Even places like ShopRite and things like that and stores, I'm sure that they have a social media policy. So just make sure if you Google your name and any type of social media out there that you know that it says good things. And nothing that you wouldn't want an employer to know is not there. That's very, very important. And then of course, in the good part of social media, use LinkedIn to the fullest. LinkedIn is like a digital resume. Keep it up there, keep it updated. Of course, keep a picture there. People like to see pictures in LinkedIn, it's appropriate. Keep your headline fresh, keep your information there. LinkedIn has so much information. I know some of these guys get my emails all the time, probably annoying sometimes, but such good business articles and such good information of what real companies are doing, what's out there. So keep a LinkedIn and keep it active and use it to its fullest. Okay, you guys good? And then in closing, like I said, remember, looking for a job is a job in itself. It is not a process for the lazy. Each resume you send out needs to reflect the job in which you are applying to. That is key. If you take anything away from today, take away that the resume should reflect the job in which you are applying to. You want to change your resume around each and every time you apply for a new job. Not completely, it doesn't have to be totally revamped, but the wording, especially in your most recent experience, needs to be changed around so it looks like the job you're applying to. You okay? You
yeah, I just thought that was really amazing how LinkedIn is so powerful. I barely use one.
Your LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Yeah, use LinkedIn. And there's jobs on LinkedIn. My company pays a lot of money to post jobs on LinkedIn every year. I think we pay $11,000. And we have 3 job slots and we keep them up there. So keep LinkedIn active, look at it. It's a really good tool for sure. So use words from the job advertisement, as I said. By doing this, you transfer your work experience to relate it to the job you want. So use the job advertisement to transfer your resume into that job. Use it as the key. Your resume is the key to unlocking the job that you want. Don't lie about your skills, enhance them. Use strategic wording, use power words and verbs. You can Google online, you can Google resume power words and a list of strong words will come up. Try just Googling resume power words and you'll get information. Use verbs as power words to heighten the work you've done already. Be strategic. Align yourself with what employers are looking for. So again, use that job advertisement as what employers are looking for. This is what they want and they're putting it out there. So use that to your advantage. Use that information. Then these are some of my resources. Career Realism. I actually found off of LinkedIn. It's careerrealism.com with 1 R. The ending R in career and the beginning R in realism is shared. There's a lot of good information on there. It tells you how to write a resume, 5 tips. It's like short, like 3 tips, 5 tips of different information. I have some examples of that here today, and I can also give that to put on the website as well. So some brief tips on how to have a LinkedIn, how to go on a resume, how to write a resume, how to go on an interview, stuff like that, some more tips. All right, and I think that's pretty much it, you guys. Thank you. I hope you were informed. So I hope I helped everybody out. And bye, guys at home. Email us, text us your information, and we will answer it to the best of our abilities. We appreciate you and thank you. My email is Ashley, ASHLEY 121NC, like North Carolina, at AOL.com. All right, thank you. Bye.
Good job, man.